Okay, so we're here for part two of our just sort of an introduction to how to use the pen tool and how to think about painting. So I'm using a Wacom tablet, which is pressure sensitive. So we have these in the lab, in the class, but a lot of you will have different versions of it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go down here and you go to, let's see, dry media brushes. And I'm going to append the dry media brushes into my brush presets. And you can see that it'll drop a whole bunch of different kinds of brushes in there for me. And so I'll go ahead and pick one that seems like it might make sense. I'm gonna go with this one, I think, number 32. And if I draw with this brush now, it's gonna kind of work like a traditional brush would that's loaded up with ink. So if I push down harder, it's gonna give me that thicker line. If I let up a little bit, it's gonna give me a thin line. Um, so I'm just gonna draw this cat sort of just like it was as if it was just a regular old like pen and ink drawing. So if I want, I can just come in here and kind of draw just like you would with an ink brush or a Sharpie or something like that, and just I can get lines that are thick and get lines that are thin. Have to forgive me for making this demo a little bit fast and a little bit cheesy. But it gives you this nice line quality if you want to play around with it. Even more, there's lots of different places that you can sort of do that. So let's do a fast little sketch. A lot of people like to kind of start with a gestural sketch underneath their drawing before they get into this point. You could certainly do that. It's just all the stuff that you would normally have to deal with a real painting or drawing, or it's kind of present. Photoshop really just simulates all of the things that we're used to sort of seeing and doing in sort of standard media when it comes to this painting, the painting idea. So if I go ahead and turn off this now, I kind of just have a really fast, loose sketch of my cat, like this line drawing. So I can go back in and try and add some stuff if I want to make it look a little bit more, a little more appealing. It's up to you. I'm going to go quickly here, so don't judge my drawing too harshly. And I just try to get a sense of the cat's sort of body and weight. Okay, so if that's my sort of beginning level drawing of my cat, since I'm working in layers, so I can go ahead and go back and add another layer on top of that one, and I can add in some other tones and colors. So that's where some of these other brushes might be kind of fun for us to play with. So let's grab one like this one here. And so this brush, if I just draw, make sure you have the right layer selected. If I draw with that brush, it's going to give me kind of a mark that looks like a piece of charcoal or something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and change the color. So that's where the color picker up here can be really helpful. So if I'm going to try and find like kind of that orangish color for the cat, I could do that here, and I could just go in here and real fast kind of just sketch out some marks. So the trick to know is the bracket tool. So the brackets on your keyboard will make your brush bigger or smaller. So that'll change sort of the size of the brush. So the right hand one makes it bigger, the left hand one makes it smaller. So if I want to add in just some real fast, kind of really quick, almost like a big giant piece of chalk kind of thing in here, right? You might be thinking to yourself, this really doesn't look that great at this point. But if I rearrange the layer order and turn off the one behind it, now I'm kind of getting a little bit more of a sense of what's going on in terms of just layering in some color. And I can go into layer 3 where I put the orange, and I can just drop the opacity on that back quite a bit, right? So I can kind of just start off with a whole bunch of different layers. Add another layer on top of that one. Go in there and let's adjust our color just a touch. So if I wanted to, if I selected that orange the last time, I'll go down in here and get a little bit more of a brown. And this time I'll pick a different brush. Let's say I'm going to go ahead and go in here and use a bristle brush. So let's see. Those are sometimes, I might just load another one in here. So let's see, I'm going to go with natural brushes. Going to append those in. Oh yeah, here we go. So I have all these different options that are available to me. So let's pick like number 21. I'm going to make the right bracket that up to make it a lot bigger. And then I'm going to, instead of working at full blast, I'm going to go up here, and all the adjustments for the brush are available at the top. And I'm going to crank the flow of this back to like something really light, really like 8 or 10% or something like that. And when I draw with this, you can kind of see that it looks like sort of a brush, a bristle brush that's not it's not fully loaded with paint. So anybody who's had a lot of painting experience kind of, you might recognize some of that. And if I want to turn on my guide layer underneath just to kind of remind me of what the colors are, I can come in here and kind of just start adding in, again, texture, right? So I can always crank the opacity of this layer back if I want to. I can, add more tones on top. So if I don't, if I like this okay and it looks all right, but I'm not entirely sure about it, I can always go in and just pick just a slightly different color and just start layering that over the top. And I'm still on the same layer, so if I turn all my other layers off, now this is really all it does with the marks, and I'm making this kind of a little bit darker mark here now. It's a little more green. And so I can kind of just continue to build and build and build, and there's all kinds of stuff I can do. But an important thing to know for using your brushes is if you want to erase things away, you have an eraser here, and if you just double click the eraser, or I'm sorry, click up here on the eraser, it gives you all these different options, so you can choose whichever brush you want to for an eraser. So if I'm just going to try and get rid of stuff, I'm going to pick an eraser about like that, and I'm going to go in here and if I want to just clean up some edges, right? Get rid of some things that that I don't like. It's just kind of like using a regular eraser. Again, I can bracket up the brush size. But if I don't, I can go my other layer and get rid of that stuff. But another great thing you can do that's pretty fun is if you just grab this and then you get one of your bristle brushes like that, you can actually kind of erase away like you're using like a brush to do the erasing. So that could be kind of a great way to come in here. Again, I can adjust the flow down quite a bit, so if I want to just kind of really subtly go in and add texture, it can be a great way to kind of do that over the top of a layer you've already sort of built. Again, I can bracket that way up, and I can just kind of go in here and lighten different areas. So there's a million things that you can do as you use the brush tools. A lot of times for a background, people really like to just click on this and they like to add, let's just use sort of, just for fun, we'll do kind of a grayish blue color like this one. Okay. I can just kind of add in a texture to the background of this. I can crank this thing way up if I want to and just kind of add that in. But then people really like to take different kinds of brushes. You can load in pattern brushes, all kinds of different sort of approaches to it, and you can see here that this is kind of simulating what a brush would look like depending on the angle, because that's the way I have my this particular Wacom tablet set. So it's really starting to simulate some stuff you would really see in like a hand painted thing with watercolor or with oil paint or something like that. Again, the harder I push down, the more fake paint is deposited. So I can switch back over to this, and I can just grab a different brush here, and I can go in and start erasing away areas. I can stamp. There's all kinds of different things that I can do to create sort of painterly textures. But so this is just quick, fast, and easy introduction to using the paintbrush tools. It works best with a Wacom tablet if you can find one of those to use. But even a mouse, there's a lot of amazing stuff that you can do. You just have to pick the right brushes and adjust the way the things, the settings are set. And last thing, sorry I forgot to tell you this, but there's also, don't forget about your blending mode. So if you change the blending mode from, say, normal to multiply, it's going to change the way these layers kind of relate to one another. And that can be a really important thing for figuring out just different kinds of textures and how you want stuff to kind of appear. So don't be afraid to play with that as you're building up your layers. Have a good time.